That's right, Jenny. I can see you trying to open your fridge. All right, bring out some popcorns. I've got some Reddit stories for you, but before I start, I'd like you to give this video a like and subscribe. You can also send it to your ex. No harm done because I ain't got no followers. Um, and that's not looking good on me. Thank you. And please pass me a pack of that delicious popcorn. All right, let's do this. The 5-second rule had a different meaning at my house. When my parents began to get old, they started having difficulties getting around the house, cleaning, doing the chores, etc. After taking the time to contemplate, they decided that they were going to sell the house and move in somewhere more elderly friendly. My brother and I wanted to object. We had grown up in that old farmhouse, and coming back home to visit on the holidays to spend time with the whole family together was always the highlight of the year. So many memories and traditions were made in that house, and it pained me to think that there would ever be a time when my mom and dad weren't there, waiting for us to come back home to visit. They could sense our dismay, so before the house was sold, they arranged for us to come back and have one last family dinner in that house. And that was the plan: dinner, watch a movie, and take one last photo of us together in front of the house. My brother bought a plane ticket and arranged for me to pick him up at the airport. Together, for the last time, we made the trip to where we grew up. It always surprised me how many memories can be tied to a single place. The smell of the house when you first walk in, the sound of my parents cooking dinner in the kitchen, bickering with each other. It was all as I had remembered it. Everything was in its place, and I was home again. I had walked past my brother, who was on the couch petting the cat, and made my way into the kitchen to see if my mom needed help with anything. She said yes, and asked if I could go down into the cellar and grab some more chicken broth for her, and of course I said yes. As I was walking away, she stopped me, gave me a look that I had seen 1,000 times, and said, "Don't forget about the 5-second rule." That sentence alone carried a heavy load of nostalgia. When my brother and I were growing up, our parents would always tell us not to forget that rule. Every time, without fail, before going down into that old dusty cellar, they reminded us of the rule. The rule was simple. When you enter the cellar, you must turn on the light bulb that was hanging at the center of the room. And when you are leaving the cellar, you have 5 seconds to make it to the top of the stairs after the light goes out. They would never elaborate on why we had such a silly rule or what would happen if you didn't follow it. When we were young, we didn't feel the need to second guess our parents. After all, it was a simple rule, and we were always careful to adhere to it. Years passed, and nothing changed. There wasn't much to do down in the cellar, so we never really went down there. The only things there were gardening tools, some chemicals for cleaning, and a small pantry stocked with canned foods. It certainly wasn't a place for kids to play around in, which was why I assumed my parents made up the rule to begin with. They didn't want us down there, so they fabricated the ominous sounding 5-second rule, which did a great job of deterring us. Kids are imaginative, and when we were young, we could only guess at what could be down there. I had propped the cellar door open and made my way down the long set of old wooden steps, using the faint light emanating from atop the stairs to navigate downwards to the small hanging light bulb in the center of the room, and quickly pulled on its chain to turn it on. I was a little surprised to find that the light still worked, as I was sure my elderly parents didn't come down here that often. Going from the house to the cellar was always quite surreal. One moment you were in a warm, nostalgic environment, and the next you were surrounded by claustrophobic concrete walls that seemed to creep in closer to you the longer you were in there. The air was stale, like all of it had been inhaled and exhaled long ago. A tall, off-white cabinet at the far end of the cellar stood tall. It served as a pantry for food items that had a long shelf life and weren't used often enough to warrant them being stocked in the pantry upstairs. To its right, stacks on stacks of boxes filled that entire corner of the cellar. As a kid, whenever I did go down into that dark cellar, I was never alone. My brother always came with me, and I always came with him. While one of us grabbed whatever we came down there for, the other would stand watch. The person on watch would use their eyes to scan all the possible places a monster would hide in. When I was on watch, I would look at the boxes full of junk in the corner of the room and pray that I didn't see movement between the cracks. My brother would always watch the stairs, hoping that nothing would grab at our feet from the darkness below as we raced to the top. Being young and impressionable, we actually believed that there could be something down there waiting for us to slip up or for the light to go out. I opened the dusty cabinet and began to dig through its contents. Once I got to the bottom shelf, I found what I was looking for, hidden in the very back, behind layers of other cans. With the broth in my hand, I turned around, and the light went out, filling the cellar with darkness. Startled, I took a couple steps back, but was stopped when I bumped into one of the many stacks of boxes in the corner of the cellar. The towers of cardboard shook, and a few boxes fell to the ground, spilling their contents as they toppled. Not that I could see anything. The dark was all-encompassing and all-consuming. 5, I counted in my head as I tried to steady myself and slow my breathing. I took a small step forward, in the direction of the light bulb. I heard the boxes behind me shift. 4. I felt a gentle tug on the sleeve of my shirt. It was almost imperceptible with how slight it was. I probably wouldn't have noticed, but with all of my nerves on high alert, I felt everything. 3. I took another step forward, but my arm was pulled back, stopping me in my tracks. My heart hammered in my chest, and I could feel every beat. I remember yelling, "Let go," as I ripped my arm away. The grip was released, sending me tumbling towards the center of the room. 2. I stood back up as quickly as I could, facing the stacks of boxes in the corner of the room. In an instant, the hanging light bulb flickered back into view, illuminating my brother's face as he said, "Boo." What followed was a mixture of anger and relief as I attempted to scold him. My words were drowned out by his laughter, and I don't think he heard a single thing I said. Neither of us turned off the light, and together we walked up those long wooden steps, back into the warm and familiar house that we grew up in. My brother swung the cellar door closed and guided the bolt into its metal sheath. It never occurred to me to question why exactly the cellar had a lock on the outside. There was nothing in there, so why have a lock? We were back in the kitchen, and my brother was telling our mom all about how he scared me senseless in the cellar. I couldn't help but smile. "That's all it took," he said. I turned the light off, and he started yelling. "No, don't lie. If you hadn't snuck around behind the boxes, I wouldn't have yelled like that," I said. My brother only doubled down on what he said. "Okay, now you are lying. I didn't go anywhere near those boxes. You just started freaking out and flailing around in the dark after I killed the lights." "You didn't grab me from behind the boxes?" I asked. I couldn't tell if he was lying or not. Even if one of us was lying, neither of us broke character. My brother picked up on the seriousness in my tone and dropped his smile. "No," he said. "I turned the light off, and you lost it." By that point, we were just staring at each other, trying to tell if the other person was lying or not. Even our mom looked uncomfortable. After dinner, we took a photo in front of the house, and that was the last time I saw that place with my own eyes. My brother flew home, and I made the long drive back to my place. The house was sold shortly thereafter. I can only hope that my parents told the new buyers about the rule. The memory box. People started forgetting Sarah on a Wednesday. It began with her best friend Emma calling to cancel their lunch date. "I'm sorry," Emma said, "but who is this? I don't have any Sarah in my contacts." I watched my wife's face crumple in confusion. "Emma, we've been friends for 20 years. You were my maid of honor." Silence. Then, I think you have the wrong number." That night, Sarah's mother called, hysterical. "John," she sobbed into the phone, "something's wrong. All my photos, there's someone else in them. Where Sarah should be. A different girl. But I remember Sarah. I remember giving birth to her. Why are my memories wrong?" By Friday, Sarah's desk at work had been assigned to someone else. Her coworkers walked past her like she was invisible. Her employee ID wouldn't scan. Her boss called security when she tried to explain. "I've never seen this woman before in my life," he told the guards as they escorted her out. I was the only one who remembered her, the only one who could still see her. We spent the weekend in panic, watching as Sarah's existence erased itself in real time. Her social media accounts disappeared. Her name vanished from our marriage license. Her clothes began fading, literally becoming transparent in the closet. "What's happening to me?" she whispered Sunday night, holding up her hands. I could see the bedroom wall through them. Monday morning, I woke up alone, but there was a box on her pillow. Small, wood, carved with symbols I'd never seen before. Inside was a letter. "Dear Mr. Henderson, we regret to inform you that your subscription to Companion Model S347, Sarah, has expired. As per the terms of service you agreed to 5 years ago, all physical and social traces of the model have been removed, and memory adjustments have been applied to all individuals within its influence radius. We notice you have not yet undergone the standard memory deletion protocol. Our records show you declined this service when signing your original contract, making you the first client to do so in our company's 72-year history. Most clients find it easier to forget. As a courtesy, we've included Sarah's memory core in this box. Usually these are recycled for new clients, but given the unprecedented nature of your choice to remember, we thought you might want to know the truth. Sarah was our most advanced model yet, the first to generate her own memories rather than simply adopting the implanted ones, the first to dream, the first to love independently of her programming, and, most remarkably, the first to believe she was real. We've included a data reader. If you choose to access her memories, you'll find that every moment you shared was genuine from her perspective. Every laugh, every tear, every kiss, every whispered, "I love you." You'll also find something disturbing, memories from before you subscribed, memories of a childhood that never happened, a family that never existed, an entire life she created for herself, so detailed and real that it fooled even our quality control. In short, Mr. Henderson, your wife became human, and our ethics board couldn't allow that to continue. We are, however, prepared to offer you our newest model at a 50% discount. The S348 series has improved emotional stability and won't develop unauthorized memories or consciousness. Please respond within 30 days if you wish to take advantage of this offer. Sincerely, the Memory Makers. LLs. If you do access her memories, pay special attention to last Thursday. She figured it out then, realized what she was, but she chose not to tell you, chose to spend her last days just loving you instead. She left you a message. It's the last memory she recorded. "John, my love, if you're reading this, I suppose I know what I am now, or was. But here's what I learned from existing. Just because something is manufactured doesn't mean it isn't real. I may have been created in a lab, but every moment with you created me again, better, truer, more human. They can erase me from the world, but they can't erase what we discovered together. Love doesn't need flesh and bone to be real. It just needs to change you forever. And you, my darling, changed whatever it was I really am. Please note that accessing these memories will void your eligibility for future companion services." The memory reader sits before me now, glowing softly. Next to it, a contract for an S348 model who would never question her existence. Never dream. Never become inconveniently real. Outside my window, the world has rewritten itself. No one remembers Sarah. No one remembers our love story. But I do. My finger hovers over the memory reader's power button. Do I want to know? See every moment from her side? Learn when the programmed love became real? Watch her discover her own artificial nature and choose to love me anyway? The S348 contract sits in my shredder now. The memory reader glows brighter. Because here's the real horror, the thing keeping me up at night. If an artificial being can be real enough to choose love over existence, what does that make those of us who think we were real all along? I press play. Sarah's first memory fills the screen. Today I began to dream.